Good morning, my friends. A few days ago, we stopped in and checked on Jack and I'll roll back the bubble wrap here, but I started the migration of just pushing everything that I had here and mounting it up here, cleaning all this out, not washing it, but just moving it all back. And then I added shredded cardboard and a lot of food, some coffee grounds, uh, uh, fruit, eggshells. I'm trying to think if I added anything else to it. And then just put a little bit of the bedding, the castings back on top of it. And I just wanted to show you that it really hasn't done anything, but I'm certainly still getting all of these unicorn slugs here. Aren't they interesting? Snails, I guess, is what they are, not slugs. Slugs don't have a shell. Snails do. So I'm going to, and they seem to be on both sides. It doesn't seem to be much different. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that back up. And today I want to work over here with Jill and see what's happening with her. And normally the way we run Jack and Jill is Jack gets the shredded cardboard, and then Jill got the elm leaves, was the way I did it last year. And this year I think my elm leaves are going to go out to my geo bin, and because I need to fill that up. So Jill is also going to get shredded cardboard, but let's just see how she's doing. And I find it amazing that I have a lot more worms who come up to the top with Jill than I ever do with Jack. I added Moringa, fresh Moringa to it. Whenever I'm harvesting, I was normally taking these twigs and stuff. That's a really heavy one. But I was normally taking all these bits and pieces from the leaves, and then I would throw them away. I mean, I'd throw it over the back and in my backyard. Well, I've got, is that, oh no, I'm sorry, I thought that was a cocoon. I guess it's also a little snail, but let me just lay that over here for a moment. Let me put you in your slot so you can see what I'm doing. And anyway, so I was doing that before, where I was just discarding all of this, and I thought, gee, Moringa is so good for us. I'll bet it would be good for the worms as well. But you can see I haven't been in here for a few weeks anyway. And I see some little guy, girl. There you go, little. You can see that it's a little yellow, red wiggler with a little yellow tail. And a snail with it. Oh, nice. Where are you going? Yeah, you can see that's a snail. All right, so moving right along here. Don't waste time. I'm going to do the same thing where I move everything over to one side and then try to get a migration going. And there's going to be a little bit of a difference between Jack and Jill. So let me just start at this end and see what we get. Ooh, lots of worms. Lots of worms. Let me see if I can take you down to 3 so you can see my worms here. Let's see if we get lots of little guys. My worms are not real big. I mean, they've just been, this oblong worm bin was started with Miracle-Gro potting soil, and somehow I must have gotten some worm castings in there that had cocoons, and it just took off. And so I've been doing it now for over a year, year and a half, almost 2 years. And I treat it now as a worm bin, not as a anything growing. But because there's so many worms in here, I think they've gotten smaller as time has gone on. You can see all that. Another red wiggler. This is from an oak tree that we had taken down, and I wanted to stick this in here to see how long. I mean, it's been in there for almost a year, and it feels like I could probably break it in half. But anyway, so let me see where we're going here. I must have done this recently enough that and you see there's just plenty of worms and plenty of castings. Beautiful, beautiful creatures. All right, let me move you back to one. There we are. Thank you. Always helpful to have an extra handyman. Cameraman. That's the one. Helpful to have a handyman too, but I don't. Actually, I take that back. Rick is very helpful, and I'm helpful with him, with his endeavors. So we've just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary a couple months ago, and we help each other. Okay, so I will go ahead and fluff the whole thing. I think is the way we're going to do this. Move these guys over. Also, the other thing I did was I have Norfolk pine, and I had a branch that came off. Patrick was putting in some pine needles, and I have pine needles all through my backyard because we live on the preserve is right behind us, and the pine needles, unless you break them down, they're just not going to break down by themselves. But I put in a few of these. This is from a Norfolk pine, and the worms seem to love getting in amongst the whole thing, but they really don't seem to take it down. What I want to do is actually break a piece apart and see maybe if they can. Look at that. I mean, they're really in there. Can you see that worm? Is anybody else in there? Look at that. They're living in there. Oh, there's more of them. All right, we won't disturb. Now, what I want to do is I want to put in some bedding, and I'm going to put this in dry because the stuff I'm putting on top of it is going to be wet. So again, this is a combination of cardboard and shredded paper, and more cardboard than shredded paper. Okay, and then I have, this is fruit that's been pulverized. It's been frozen for a few weeks, and then it was pulverized, and then put back in the freezer as mush. Then I took it out and I left it on the counter because I was going to use it right away, and I just never did. And so it's wet, and it started to get bacteria growing on it. And as I'm doing this, I can smell that it's starting to smell like it's fermenting. You know, like I'm smelling apple cider or a little liquor starting to take over. And then the other thing I wanted to do, the stems that you saw over here from my Moringa. This last time I did it, where do I have a fork? Okay. The last time I did it, I took the stems and I chopped them into like 1-inch pieces, and then I put it in my NutraBullit, and it came up with this kind of a mat. I had to add water to it. I had to add a little bit of water to it because it just it wouldn't break up in the NutraBullit. But oh, let me show you one other one. This was some Moringa powder. I mean, this was some Moringa pieces that, you know, the little stem parts that actually did break up. So, you know, I don't want to give them too much of this. There's a little bit dry. And here's some of the wet stuff. But I thought, you know, if you look up Moringa, they tell you all the different health benefits of it. And one of the things they say is that it has twice the amount of protein as chicken. Well, gee, you know, I mean, I'm sure the worms could use a little protein shot, you know, to get their muscles to grow. So, just kidding, just kidding. So I'm going to add that into it. And I can smell that is really green. You can see that, I mean, I think that speaks volumes for health. Talk about a green slushy. I'm just going to put that all over it. They're going to love it. I'll rinse that out. And then to that I'm going to add something dry, like the coffee grounds. Boy, if this doesn't get them to come running, I don't know what will. And this is probably about 4 or 5 days worth of coffee for us. So I've been trying to get us to drink less coffee, but I don't see that happening. Okay, and then we know the last thing we really need is the eggshells, because, oh, look at that powder. I pulverize mine in, I used to do it in the NutraBullit, and it wasn't getting it fine enough, so I put it in my coffee grinder. It's a Krups coffee grinder, and it takes on seeds and what have you, so it really gets it to the point of being almost a powder. And so with that, I'm just going to move this a little. Oh wait, no, I have a coffee filter that should just kind of let me know where I am. Let me know if they're eating it. And today is the last day of September. And so let's try to figure out that maybe in 2 weeks I should be able to go in here and start seeing if they've taken it. Here's more of these Norfolk pine. I don't know what you would call them. It's not the branch. The branch is the whole thing. You wouldn't call it a leaf. They're needles. There's another one. There's another one. I mean, I have worms everywhere, and I really need to get cracking. And I stick this down the whole side, down underneath, so that that's that little bit of a bark. Oh, there's lots more. I don't seem to see the unicorn snails over on this side. Not that it really worries me, but I kind of wish they weren't in there. And then I'm going to just, you know, fluff. I think Patrick over at Vermicompost learned by doing, he always says agitate. And I think the worms are probably saying, Patrick, you're irritating, not agitating. But probably a little of both. So, yeah, oops, there's another one. So I think that's going to be the only difference in Jack and Jill is that Jack is going to not get the Moringa powder and pulverized stems and what have you, and Jill is. So I think that's going to be about it. You can see that. I mean, there's just oodles of worms. It's a little warm still here. We're right on the verge of autumn, and you know, we always say that we get a couple days in 1st of September, and it feels like we're getting a nice breeze and things are happening, and then all of a sudden we're sweating and it's back to 90. So September, October, there's another one of the, and they'll break. You can see, look, it's working into fibers. Moringa has more vitamin A, more vitamin C than oranges, more vitamin A than, trying to think of some of the things that have vitamin A in them. It has more vitamin E in it. They call it the tree of life, and they call it the miracle tree because it just has so much benefit. And so let's see if the worms enjoy it, because as I'm now, and this is just new for me, because I was taking all these stems and seeds and what have you, and I was actually tossing them over our back fence into our preserve, and I thought, what a waste. Why not use that? Even if I just used it in my compost pile, my new geoben, it would be of benefit. So anyway, I'm sorry this took so long. I really would appreciate if you watched it the whole way through, but if you can't, I understand. But I appreciate those people who do. So anyway, with that, I will say, let me just take you off here and say, it's a beautiful day in Florida. Our last day of September. Tomorrow is the 1st of October, and I hope to see you all back in my dining room for what is it, week 30 something or other. We're getting towards the end of the year for our recycling. So anyway, I hope everybody has a great day, and you'll come and see me again real soon, because you know I'll be here. Take care, and remember, garden what you've got. Bye-bye.